What's up, guys? Dusty Shaw, Holistic Fitness and Nutrition, back for another video. We just did the blood on the razor wire interview with Chad Marks. Shout out to Chad, great guy. I really appreciate him giving me the opportunity. For those of you that have came over from his channel or any other new subscribers that aren't familiar with my story, I'm just going to give a little quick description for you guys. But I fought professionally in the sport of mixed martial arts for 10 years. That's where I got most of my fame and where I was able to build up an online fitness coaching business and YouTube channel. And that's where my sources of income came after fighting. So I got up to about 70,000 subscribers and, wasn't making a great deal on YouTube, but it was nice little passive extra income. And they censored me and had my channel deleted. No, it was a business channel for my online coaching business. So the business is no longer allowed to create a channel. But as far as I understand, I am able to have a personal channel now. So I've had to start all over with YouTube. So this is why you see I just started a YouTube channel, only have a few videos and minimal subscribers. This is also why I was not able to go live or make a post about it directly after me and Chad's interview, like I had said. So I apologize to those people that went to check for it afterward. I don't have enough subscribers and views yet for that. So, but I did go ahead, and since I can't stream it and have your guys' questions up on there, I did go ahead and screenshot them so I can read them, and I'll make sure I attach you guys' name. So for anyone that wants to go and look at the comments and so you get your questions answered. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Rowdy Wood writes, good interview you did on BOTRW. What do you think of Chad? And will you be doing any follow-up videos? If so, let me know. I have some specific questions about a few of your stories. What do I think of Chad? Oh, great. I can tell he's a solid guy. It'd be one thing if he came to me and offered to bring me on a show back when I had a huge YouTube channel, but I'm just now starting over. So it's granted, I still have the fame from the fighting, and I brought people over. It's, strictly from a YouTube perspective, I didn't have a whole lot to offer him. So that was very generous of him to have me on. And I could tell my impression, I'm really good at reading people. He's solid. He's real as he gets. And as soon as I made the first post of that video, one of my really good friends, Tom, said, "Hey, I know Chad from USP Lee." All right. So I know people that were locked up with him in federal prison. He's a solid guy. He's as good as they come. As far as I can tell, he's a good family man too. So I have nothing but good things to say about him. We haven't talked about it, but yeah, I'd like to do another video with him, now that you mentioned this. And it was kind of short. We actually had to stop halfway and start over because of something we had to take out. But yeah, we didn't go into details. I know, as you'll see later in these questions, people wanted to hear war stories. So I'll talk to him about that, and hopefully we will do another video. And I don't know if this is the same Rowdy Wood that I know, but if it is, hey, brother, appreciate your comment. Either way. Next member writes, just in case, writes, does being a Wood make you a white gang member? No, not necessarily. So, first of all, here in Virginia, you don't have any white gangs. You don't have Woods. You basically have 98% of white people just being weak and pathetic, and it's embarrassing. There's only a small percentage of us who are truly hard and conduct ourselves as we should. So there's just not enough of us there's enough white people to formulate a gang, but just not enough quality ones. So, but to answer your question more specifically, it'd be better answered from the perspective of California. Now, I did most of my time in Virginia. I literally did just a few weeks in California, but it was enough to see because the jails, detention and prisons are all structured relatively the same as far as the politics go. And so I'm gonna break them down for you. Your prison is separated by race. So on one side of the day room or at the chow hall, wherever you're at, when everyone's out, you're going to see the Southern Mexicans, the whites, and the what do you call the native Mexicans, paisas. On the other end, you're going to have the northern Mexicans. So this would be the norteños to the northerners as the Sureños are to the southern Mexicans. The blacks, and then the others. So that's like any really small group that just doesn't even have enough people to really have a car of their own. So they just have a other car, and that's like, you know, Pacific Islanders, Native Americans, Asians, you know. So out of the wood, or out of the white group, you only have two factions. You have the Woods, which are just your normal white dudes, all right? You know, they may or may not be racist, most likely not, you know, no more racist than maybe just an average person, but that's not their thing. Racism's not really their thing, but they are going to ride with their people because that's just how you have to in prison. That's how it's ran. And I can tell you from being at both, this is a much smarter way to run a prison. It keeps a lot of problems down. I mentioned before, the R word happens in Virginia because people don't stick together like they should. At least whites don't. There's a perfect example why this is better, because you will never see the R word happening in California. You will never see one race go and target another race out of nowhere. It just doesn't happen. All right. So it keeps things organized, it keeps respect, and it keeps violence down. Unnecessary violence anyway. So the other facet is the skinheads. All right. So Woods and skinheads. Skinheads would be the more racist or militant or more gang-like ones. So those skinheads, you do have independent skinheads, but most of them will be within gangs. I don't know well enough to know if there's any Wood gangs. I think that's just independent white dudes who are in a gang for the most part. But obviously they will both come together along with the Southern Mexicans and the Native Mexicans if they have a issue with the others. So hope that answers your questions. Jim Flips 4774 writes, dude's lying about his fight stats, and he's lying about never having any confrontation with other races outside his own. Well, we can just, I just kind of explained why you don't have confrontations with other races. It's not allowed. I can't go as a white person and go start an issue with a black dude or vice versa. It will never happen out there on the West, because if, let's say, a group of blacks come and jump on me, every white in that building's jumping. And then it's going to be a full-on war and lots of people are going to die. So it's just not worth it. So let's say a young, immature, new to doing time white dude makes a mistake and somehow gets himself in debt with another race, buys a drug from when he wasn't supposed to or whatever, and is unable to pay it. Rather than them coming to retaliate and starting a full-on race war, a black will come over and let the whites know, and the whites will handle it themselves for the blacks. Because then, you know, it doesn't look like anyone got disrespected. All right. So, and then over here on the East Coast, the reason I never had issues with any non-whites is because of the way I conduct myself. So I was the only person in there with white political tattoos. There was no other white dude that would be who he was unapologetically. There was no other white dudes that weren't scared in there. I mean, truly, it's only a handful of solid white dudes. And even then, they were scared to, you know, admit like they were proud to be white or anything like that. Or, you know, they act differently than they normally act. They were just overwhelmed with fear. And you see this on these other prison YouTubers in Virginia. All right, just look at the way they talk versus the way I talk. You don't have to change the way you talk and act to live around other people. People see that as fake. They recognize it for what it is, and that's why those dudes become victims. Real recognizes real. You know, sometimes when I'd have some, you know, very few times it ever happened, and it's usually when I first got somewhere, but if, you know, a older dude from another race came and asked me about my tattoos or whatever and asked me about how I felt about race, told him the truth. Hey, I probably don't feel any different about my race than you do yours. You know, I care about my race. I only date white women because I only want to preserve my race and have white kids. It has nothing to do with thinking less of you or any other race's culture or people. In fact, I don't, and I'm not going to treat anyone differently. I'm going to treat everyone just as respectful as I would my own people. And when you break it down to them like that in a respectful way, they feel the same way, if not harsher. You know, most of them are racist, so they understand that at least then they see a real person. And so there's no reason to have problems, you know? It's all in how you carry yourself. So no, that's the truth. I've never once in my life had an argument, let alone even a physical altercation with a non-white. Every fight I have ever been in has been with some self-ashamed, liberal, white dude who was offended by me being white. Basically self-loathing, self-hating white people, all right, which we're seeing more and more of these days. But, so no, that was the truth. And then as far as my fight record, and I think it gets asked in another question. So I'm, yeah, Jim Flups 4774 says, dude's lying about his fight stats. All right, so remember that one. And then there's also at that young. That's what it says his name is, at that young. Said he was 13 and 4 overall, but only 5 showed up on SureDog. Then Levon Cleef and Andrew D said, SureDog doesn't show all fights for most fighters. You have to go to MMA.com and you'll see every fight with the outcomes I've said. Not to mention you can watch most of them on iPay-per-view, or even free on YouTube. Just search my name on YouTube, you'll see it. But if you go to mixedmartialarts.com, this is MMA Underground. This is where all fighters have all their stats. You'll see every amateur and professional fight I've ever had, even bouts that were canceled. So you will see my record is exactly what I said it was. You know, people should take the time to do their research. It wouldn't have took them any longer to just Google search my name and see I was telling the truth as it did for them to jump the gun and accuse me of being a liar. So, you know, but you know what they say when you got haters. You should always take it as a compliment and never let it bother you, because the only people that hate are the people that are below you in life and are jealous. Like, I would never watch someone else online and attack them and try to accuse them of lying, even if I can tell they're lying, because I'm not concerned with them. I'm concerned with my own life. Just one noteworthy mention. The outlaw feminist caught the part of my life where I began to spiral after a toxic breakup. This was a pivotal point in my life. So it was smart on her for reading that spot on without doing any details about it. So I just wanted to mention that you know, that was smart of her. And also to recommend you guys go check her out, The Outlaw Feminist. You know, if you're into motorcycles, motorcycle clubs, and dancing, she's got good content. So we'll give her a subscription. And there's at least 3 different requests for war stories, so prison war stories. Now, I don't mind going into them, you know, but it will not be for sake of glorifying anything. It would only be, I'd probably really tell the worst of what I can anyway on here, to hopefully scare some of you to realize that it's not cool like I thought it was when I was 14 before I got locked up. There was nothing cool about it, and I don't ever want to see any good, young, solid dude have to go through this amount of pain, and all because he's seeking validation, and he's in a society that just trashes toxic masculinity. You know, there's no appreciation or validation for the man today. So that's why you have to learn to validate it on your own. This is why I have a coaching program where we work out, eat healthy, work on our business, build ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually stronger, so that we validate ourselves within our own internal environment, not based on an outside society that is steadily decaying and is the antithesis of any and all things that are good. So I'll talk to Chad first, see if he wants to bring me on, and we can go into some of the war stories of those places. And if not, I will mention them in an upcoming video. I just like to put some more thought into it before I do. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to put the link to the video of the interview I did with Chad right under here at Blood on the Razor Wire. Please go subscribe to his channel, like and comment on the video, and make sure you subscribe to this channel since I'm starting over. That's the most helpful things any of you can do for me. If any of you will subscribe to my channel, like it, comment, because that helps the algorithm. Leave me a comment or shoot me an email or a message on my social media, and I will give you any of my books for free. I'll send them straight to you, just for you doing that for me, because I'm trying to build my channel back up. As always, thank you so much. Comment below what questions you have for the next video. Love you.